So who is who in the zoo? Everybody come out and tell us who you are in the zoo, because everybody and anybody who has any connection to Matlala these days is taking up their seat at the throne, okay? They want to come and tell us that they were friends. It's the word friends for me that, it stands out like, wow, what kind of friends did he have? What did you guys do in your friendship group? What did you guys talk about in your WhatsApp group? Because it's ironic how the friends are outside here. And did you know, as friends, what he was up to? Did you know? And if you knew, did you benefit from any of the proceeds of crime? If you did, stand up proud, and let us know. But hi everyone, welcome back to another edition. In today's video, we are going to talk about, you guessed it already, Vusimuzi Matlala and his ever growing friend list. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. His friend list. You see, the friends, they love to come out. They love to come out. But you know what? In Calvin's defense, he was, I would say, provoked. I like to say unprovoked, but in this case, yeah, he was. He was mentioned. You see when the general is there explaining a scenario and then name drop. Woo! What I don't understand is why when your name is dropped, your first reaction is let me go to the media and speak for myself. Why is your first reaction not let me consult my legal team, let me wait for the Matlala Commission to call me before you come out and tell us your version of things? Why is it so essential, such an essential service, to come and get your street credit cleared, to come and clear your name in the court of public opinion? See, in the court of public opinion, we don't have much control of what happens. We want the court over there of Matlala Commission to tell us what's next, okay? But unfortunately, I know they're trying to do damage control. Maybe they're losing business partners or business deals or endorsements or whatever the case may be. So they have to seem to be saying something. However, there's this famous saying, I don't know if you guys have heard it. You can absolutely never misquote silence. Let's listen to, well, a crime expert. Imagine being a crime expert and being friends with a criminal. How does that work? Because we found out from Umkwanazi that there can never be peace between a criminal and a police officer. Although, okay, Calvin Rafadi was not or is not part of SAPS. He's not a police officer, but he's a crime expert. So technically, if you know better, you do better. Those are the vibes. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's jump in and listen to some key parts I want us to go over. Here goes.
As a suggesting that, in fact, Matlala had told Rafadi that Shadrack Sibiya would be appointed as the Hawks boss. That's even before the candidates were actually vetted. No candidate was chosen at that time. Now, to get more insight on this conversation, I am actually joined by forensic expert, crime expert, Calvin Rafadi. I think I first have to verify, did that conversation actually happen between you and Vusimuzi Matlala?
So before he answers the question, here's a guide of what I would like you to listen to. First of all, watch his body language, listen to how he speaks, and then listen to him actually avoid the question and not answer it at all. Don't believe me? Here, let me play the clip.
Good evening, viewer, and good evening to your viewers. Yes, indeed, I do know Ket Matlala. We were in the same security industry, and besides that, he grew up in my township. So there was a time when I used to rent out cars, my own vehicles, for the metric dance events, and then subsequent to that, I used to even subcontract some of the vehicles from him. That, I have to declare. Now, this particular article that we're talking about, it was of public knowledge. It's a screenshot that I got from, as Google, as everybody's looking for such opportunities. And then I did send to him. And subsequent to that, now the main question is, why did I send it to him and what happened after he bragged that the position has a name tag?
Sir, that was not the question. Okay, you've reformulated the question. First of all, the question was, did that conversation actually happen, okay, between you and Ket Matlala? Very simple question. I think it was so simple. He starts off by overwhelming us, the viewers, with information that nobody asked for. Yes, I know Ket Matlala. He didn't ask you if you know him. He asked you specifically, okay, about the message between you and Vusimuzi regarding Shadrack Sibiya, and that the position has already got his name on it, okay? Then he tells us we're in the same security industry. He grew up in my township. There are cars that I used to. Ngena, what has that got to do with anything? That is just to overload the information so that we run away from the actual question. And by the time he gets to the answer, which he never did get to in this clip, he's avoiding the question and he's giving us his rehearsed answer. But that's not the question, sir. But anyway, let's continue on.
I went out even in many media houses saying, why is the position of the head of the Hawks having a name tag? But it didn't end there. On the 13th, if I'm not mistaken, I then sent a WhatsApp message to General Fani Masemola, who's the National Commissioner. Then I said to him, I realized that there's a post that is advertised, but it doesn't specify issues about disabilities if they are not welcome or welcomed. And then subsequent to that, on my last paragraph, my WhatsApp was saying, can you please clarify, because this will also clarify that the nepotism that I heard about within the structure about this particular post. Now, not only did I end there, I also sent an email to the police secretariat. I've got proof of that. If the commission has to subpoena me, if only they see relevant out of this, by the way, because it was just somebody posting. But again, I also sent the very same email to the info@parliament email as well. I've got proof of that. But why I did that, I was then exposing that why is there nepotism? And I've even came out that on this particular issue about the appointment, the upcoming appointment of the DPCI, nobody, by the way, has been appointed in that position. It was actually re-advertised. That's why you see there's someone acting. Now, also, where I want to clarify, I want
to first quickly just go into this issue of why you actually sent this screenshot to Vusimuzi Matlala. You mentioned the relationship of you knowing him a long time, but what's the nature of the actual relationship? Why did you send him the advertisement of the Hawks boss position?
Yes, so why I sent it to him, I was telling him that because I was looking for some employment at the time in the security industry. Then I said, no, I'm quitting from my company. I'm no longer into forensic. I needed, to be employed, but I need something at SAPS.
It was at this point that he lost me. Okay, he lost me completely. What do you mean you sent the Hawks boss position to Cat? Cat doesn't work at SAPS. Doesn't work at SAPS. It would have made sense if you had said, yeah, I sent it to him and I wanted to hear if he knew somebody inside Phakathi within who can help me out. But you sent it to him because you don't want to be in security anymore. You want to specifically work inside SAPS. Yeah, it's too broad. I don't know why Cat would be the person to send that message to. But you know what? Yeah, as a crime expert, there was nobody else you could have sent it to. You don't know anybody else? Anyway, let's continue listing on because he goes on and on even further.
So then, after sending, he sent me that particular information that the position, and it's not only him, by the way. Some I cannot just mention, for the sake of anonymity. In the same breath, I used to say, you can listen to many of my interviews to say, the fight between General General Feroz Khan in the crime intelligence, and the fight of General Kumalo, it's a ticking bomb. And that's exactly now what we see also in the whole shenanigans and the whole pictures.
I'm sure by now you know what I'm going to say. He avoids the question yet again. And not only that, he stirs the conversation away from him and now wants to open up the conversation about General Khan and General Kumalo, which is not the reason why he's there. Because then why is he talking about them? Because it becomes he said, she said, hearsay. But he's avoiding his very, very specific question and talking about everything else than what he was asked. Let's continue on.
One would ask, in you sending this to Matlala, if he actually works in the HR department of the Hawks, hence you sent it to him. But maybe even more pointedly, did you know, this is February, at the time that he's allegedly involved in the criminal underworld, did you know of his involvement, especially as a forensic expert yourself?
No, I knew of that there were police who came to raid. But I also want to highlight, I wrote an article, I think 2 days, if not a day ago, to say, Mr. General Mkhwanazi, I mean, a person of your stature, as much as I respect him, he has also ought to have known what is my role when I infiltrate certain individuals. Because of, I'm a complainant in many of the inquiries when it comes to prevention of organized crime. So my role, I'm not just an ordinary businessman. There are certain infiltration that, you know, we collect certain data and information on behalf of the detective. So Mr. General Mkhwanazi has mentioned that he deals with the political tax team, but at the same time, they were also helping the Gauteng with the kidnapping issues. And then if he's in that industry, he has ought to have known my name and also ought to have known my role, what infiltration and what is my role in the whole. But that is for, you know, for police work. But he said he'll testify more in camera about who's this Mr. Rafadi.
Jerry Pashoka, anyone? I mean, he did mention kidnapping and that Mkhwanazi should know who he is and he should know my role. I'm not just an ordinary businessman, aka he's an informant and an agent. He says that later down the line. Spoiler alert. But basically, that whole rant, again, not answering the question, okay? Because the question was, is Vusi Matlala working in the HR department of Hawks? And he goes on to talk about himself.
And Matlala tells you that General Shadrack Sibiya will have the job. This is before even the panel discusses the candidates themselves. What goes through your mind at this time? I mean, this is information that should be previewed to the police. It hasn't even been decided yet. What did you make of this at the time?
Yeah, what I made of it, I've reported it. That's why I said I sent the very same, the very same context of my concern to the Commissioner of Police. And he can even attest that indeed, on the 13th, he did receive my WhatsApp. And not only that, even to the emails of the police secretariat, and I've got copies, and they even acknowledged my email, but they didn't read the whole context of my email. They acknowledged and resent me back the advert. Now, where I want to also come in is that I heard that the general said, Mkhwanazi said, a position of that magnitude, only a person who's 7 years with experience in the police can apply. No. That is, I disagree. Because that position is for external and internal. And should they have, and I applied for that position, should they have appointed these particular characters of concern, I would take them straight to the CCMA, because once you apply for the position, you lock it. And already I've got proof that I reported the very same concerning matter, that there is someone who's breaking, that already the position has got a name tag. Should they have appointed that particular character? Should they have? I will easily take them to CCMA.
And what's your involvement with the police? Maybe let's clarify that before we're going to your involvement with Matlala.
No, I've always come out. I mean, I've been with the police for many years. I even know their fictions. And that's why I'm happy that General Mkhwanazi has come out, you know, to expose some of the fictions and the frustrations and the interference even from political and the underworld within the structure of police. So myself in the police, I'm actually, I've been working as an informant and as an agent.
Basically, you know, he gives us his rundown. He's a great person. He's an informant. He's worked for the police. Why would you even call me in such a regard? Kwanazi, I mean, you should know better. When you know better, do better. That's basically what he's doing. He's just spewing, you know, all this jargon just to confuse us. Now he goes into the interesting part where he talks about, well, I do use some of CAT's vehicles. Sir, are they fitted with the blue lights? That's what we want to know. Okay, we members of the public, that's what we want to know. Is that why you're getting CAT's vehicles? Because they're fitted with blue lights? Anyway, let me let you listen to this part. I thought that was something that stood out to me. He doesn't, of course, answer the question, but he talked about vehicles, and we know CAT has, you know, blue light access that he has no business having access to. But they do have a relationship that involves vehicles, and that's quite questionable. Let's listen in.
So people are quite shocked to understand that you having these conversations with Matlala. Maybe share how often talk to Matlala? What normally do you talk about if there are such conversations?
Yeah, well, like I said, I used to rent out vehicles, and then if I rent out a vehicle from him to do certain drop-offs, matric dance and weddings, that is another part of my business. There are commissions that we'll exchange. So there will be nothing wrong with that. But again, you know, like you've asked a very important question. A person of exposing crime and being a crime expert, I'll say a public intellectual. That's why I found it very strange that, you know, my name has to be called out there just for a purpose of someone has bragged to me. So tomorrow, if I alert communities about crime, the issues of them now trusting me, it becomes questionable. There it becomes questionable. And again...
Especially when, not to interfere, when General Mkhwanazi himself says that other matters that involve you will be spoken in private, in camera. Are you perhaps involved in dodgy dealings? I have to ask that quite pointedly.
No, definitely I'm not involved in any dodgy dealings. I deal with infiltration of certain individuals. So if my identity is exposed, then it becomes a matter that, you know, some of these operations, then one has to, you know, you can put your life in danger. So crime intelligence, we've always been saying, is missing in action. They are the ones who must work on this infiltration and collect the data. But as a security expert, crime expert, registered sources with the police, we do that on their behalf. And that's why I've got so many successful cases, even in black and white. Should one be called, if they see necessity at the commission, you know, one will put it up on the screen to show that here are most of my successes. And you'll even be shocked. There are other cases that I cannot speak about, very highly sensitive cases that one has succeeded. But to answer your question in simple matter, I'm not involved in any criminal activities.